Hello, and welcome back to the Intuition Activation Podcast. I'm Jessica, your host, an intuitive coach and spiritual medium. I'm so excited that you're here and joining me for this intuitive development journey. And oh my goodness, guys, it has been a week in my household this week. I thought I'd just give you a little life update of what's been going on. As you know, at this point of the time of this recording, I'm now 1 month postpartum. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see my newest little accessory. There's a little head sticking out of the baby carrier that I'm wearing. And I do have my little boy with me in the recording studio today. And you know what? It has been a wild ride. And I have to say, this is my second time around having a baby and going through postpartum. And people always, they get worried about the birth. They're always worried about the actual birth experience. For me, the big buildup was, what is postpartum going to be like? And postpartum with my first son was challenging. It had a lot of challenges. Of course, there's all of the beautiful things about having a newborn with newborn snuggles and the cute little baby, but it's real. It's a lot, right? There's definitely a lack of sleep. There's, your body's still recovering while you're taking care of this newborn. Your hormones are all over the place. And there's just a lot to deal with and a lot to handle. And I was worried about what that was going to feel like second time around, not only with recovering my own body and dealing with a new baby, but also having another child, a toddler, a 2-year-old in tow, and what that was going to be like. And I have to say, I'm really kind of proud of myself for preparing for a lot of these things in advance in some ways. And this postpartum has been a lot less challenging than my last one because I knew what to expect and I knew how to prepare for some of those things. So some of the things that I did ahead of time before I gave birth to this baby was we bought a chest freezer, like a really big freezer, and stuck it in our garage. And for the last 6 months, well, I wouldn't say 6 months, maybe the last few months leading up to giving birth, every time I made a dinner that was freezable, I would double it and put some of it in the freezer so that we would have meals for at least a month postpartum. So I wouldn't have to worry about cooking, especially when I knew the first few weeks I would be a lot less mobile and wanting to be cooking dinner for everybody. And more importantly, holding a baby. It's hard to cook when you're constantly holding a newborn. And I'm so glad I did that because this baby, and much like my other one, is probably what you would call a Velcro baby, one who needs to be on you all day long. If I'm not the one holding him, he's not happy. He needs to be by mama, he needs to be held, and he needs to be in my arms or in the carrier. And that's just where he feels safest and best, which I love it. I love the snuggles, but definitely it makes it a little bit more challenging to cook when you have, an extra 10 pounds on your front. Moving forward, it's hard to kind of reach around him. So I'm so happy. And, it's a month in and we're not even at the bottom of that stash of food yet. And so I haven't had to cook dinner yet, which is really great. I'm really, truly thankful. Proud of my past self for doing that and thanking my previous self for thinking ahead and making sure. And we've also been so lucky to have such beautiful, generous friends and neighbors who've also been dropping off lots of meals for us as well. So that has made a huge difference in my postpartum journey. Since compared to last time where I didn't think of that ahead of time at all. And breastfeeding makes you hungry. It makes you starving. And so it's nice to know that there's going to be a good hearty meal and a healthy meal available whenever you need it, because definitely it makes you very hungry all the time. One of the things I expected but didn't know how to deal with, and I'm glad we're finally smoothing over the edges of that, is how my 2-year-old was going to react to a new baby. And he is reacting well. He's finally getting accustomed to the idea. And so at first he was really excited until he realized his brother was going to stick around and that he was going to have to share attention. And there was definitely some challenges with that. My 2-year-old was still nursing and still in diapers. And so it felt for a while like we had two babies with two needs. And every time the baby woke up, my older son woke up and wanted to nurse too. I had to figure out positions to tandem nurse them. And and then changing 2 sets of diapers. And it's so funny because this is one thing I really want to share with you guys. which is that in a lot of ways, sometimes when we are in our darkest hours, we kind of think, why is something like this happening to me? And that's not my darkest hour, but something that happened to me this weekend turned out for the better. And so what happened this weekend or this past week was my entire family got hit with the stomach flu. And it was rough. It was really rough. First, both of the kids were throwing up. Yes, the baby threw up a couple of times. At first, I remember, like, I was like, oh, baby spit up all the time, but it was like projectile. There was a lot coming out. And I remember thinking, that's kind of weird. Why is there so much coming out of the baby? And it wasn't until my 2-year-old started vomiting that I realized that maybe he was a little bit sick too. Luckily, the baby wasn't really phased. My son, we had a good night of him, tossing his cookies every hour or so. That was really rough. And I thought, okay, well, thank goodness it was just the kids. We're able to take care of them. My husband and I didn't get it. Well, give it 24 hours, and there I was praying to the porcelain gods, definitely at my worst, and definitely, losing my lunch over and over again for the last couple of days. And it felt really awful. I was even saying to my husband, like, I know this sounds crazy, but it felt worse than labor because I didn't know when it was going to end. I was like, when am I going to stop throwing up everything that I drink or eat? And the thing that became really scary about it this week is that because I couldn't keep anything down, even liquids, I got so dehydrated that my milk production completely slowed down to the point where it almost stopped. And it made me really worried for the baby. I mean, what was the baby going to eat? We only had breast milk. I didn't have any stash saved up. I'm not very good at pumping my, I find it too painful. I don't enjoy pumping. And so we didn't have a stash of extra breast milk. And I'm not a huge fan of using formula because the ones that are, available nearby, in the grocery stores we have nearby are full of crap, like really crappy ingredients, things like vegetable oil being the first ingredient. And I just really didn't want to give that to my son. Also, I have a dairy allergy and wasn't sure if he does yet and wasn't really willing to test that just yet. And so that became really scary. Eventually, we caved because we didn't have a choice. I really was out of milk and nothing was coming through. I just couldn't keep liquids down. So we did have to give him some formula, and thankfully, he didn't react negatively to it. But the positive side of that is that I've really been struggling having to tandem nurse both babies and having the little baby wake up the 2-year-old. And that's been the hardest part of this postpartum for me. And because there was no more milk, I had to tell my older son, like, you know what, like I can nurse you, but there's nothing there. And anything that there is, I have to give it to the baby. And he understood and he weaned himself. And I've been trying to wean this 2-year-old for months since I've been pregnant. And just with no success and not wanting to sort of force his hand, or, I don't know, maybe I'm a pushover, but break the relationship. And this was the scenario that finally pushed him to let go of nursing, so that now I'm only responsible for nursing the newborn and not the 2-year-old. And oh my God, guys, it feels like such a relief. It feels like such a relief. I should have ended this nursing relationship with my 2-year-old so long ago, but I just couldn't. And I had been wanting to for months now and was hoping and hoping and hoping that eventually he would give it up on his own. And this was finally the scenario that made him come to that decision on his own, with the fact that there was no milk as well. And this is one of those things where, I always find that when I hit rock bottom and you kind of want to go, why me? Why me? This is a time where I look back always and thank my spirit guides because I know that they were helping me in that moment, that they were actually pushing me towards an outcome I'd been asking for. And, for me, unfortunately, it always ends up being through some sort of physical ailment, whether I get in a ski accident or a car accident or I get a concussion or something else. There's always something physical for some reason. That's my guide steering me in the right direction. But I hit these rock bottoms and then my manifestations come through somehow, or something I've been wanting or asking for. And so it's the best example of something that feels horrible. It's not happening to me, but it's happening for me. And it's such a good reminder to always have that in mind, that even in my darkest hour, I can't see it yet, but I will see the light of this and I will see why this is happening to me at this moment, and really that it was happening for me. And I'm going to come out of this on the other side grateful that it happened. And I never thought I'd say I'd be so grateful that I got the stomach flu, but in some senses I am. I'm grateful I got the stomach flu because now things are so much easier. I'm only nursing one baby, and my son came to that conclusion on his own without me having to force his hand. And it just so happened that it coincided with him all of a sudden um, wanting to use the potty as well. And so we're moving away from diapers with him as well. And I don't know why we've been talking about potty training and working on it for a few weeks now, but or a few months now, but he's never really wanted to. And I never wanted to force him. I always kind of go by let them do it when they're ready. And it just so happened that he decided he was ready at the same time that he decided he was done nursing. And so, we've been getting lots of peas in the potty too, this last week. And so, yeah, it's so strange that, that's what coincided with my stomach flu and my whole family getting a bug. And then on the top of that, there's almost this feeling of, and I feel like it's like every parent's worst nightmare. Like, what happens if the whole family is puking their guts out, right? Like that is a scary moment for any parent. And we got thrown into the deep end right from the beginning, and now we can kind of be like, okay, we can tackle this. We can handle life with two babies, with two boys, with two kids. And after this, I kind of feel, like I could take on anything because it really, it can feel really challenging in the moment, right? Taking care of little ones when you're sick yourself is not easy. And, I honor any parent who's had to go through it. So yeah, it kind of made me feel really grateful for um just the support that we all have, the spirit guides, the angels, that we're always being supported by our loved ones, by our spirit, and God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And everything's always happening for a reason. And this is just such a good example of that. So I just wanted to share that with you. Hopefully it wasn't too boring for those of you who are not interested in postpartum journeys. um, and so I do want to talk about today's episode. So for today's episode, as you know, this week has been a little bit of a, SHIT show for me. And so my original plan to record a podcast episode kind of went by the wayside, and I kind of was out of ideas of what I wanted to share and what episode I wanted to record for you guys this week. And so I put a poll up on Instagram yesterday asking you guys, what do you want to hear about? What do you want me to share? And I got a lot of really amazing responses, which I definitely screenshotted and saved. So a lot of your suggestions are going to be the next few episodes coming out, which is really helpful. So thank you. If you're not following me on Instagram yet, please head over to Instagram. Follow me at I am Jessica Rachel. I love to do polls like that. I love to hear from you guys what it is that you want to hear about on the show. I want to give you what you want to hear. But the one that actually had the most recommendations, or that was repeated the most in the answers, was people really want to hear about archangels, my take on archangels. And we did do an episode about earth angels and what that means if you're an angel, if you're an earth angel. And I have such a special episode for you today because some of you may not know this, but I used to have a different podcast about 3 years ago. I had tried and failed to start a podcast with a friend. It was called the Guided Path Podcast. And no, you can't find it on iTunes anymore. There was only a few episodes, and it for many, many reasons, it came to a close. And so we took it off the air. But I did record this really beautiful episode with a good friend of mine. Her name is Nadia, and she is the embodiment of what you would call an earth angel. And she was probably one of the first clients I experienced when I was just starting out charging clients, when I channeled for her to kind of recognize what it meant to channel for someone who was an earth angel. And so back in the episode where I talk about what an earth angel is, right, I talk about right away I can tell somebody's an earth angel based on their aura, based on what their spirit guides look like, and her guides are all angels. And her aura is so golden and so white and so beautiful and angelic. And I knew right away with her. And I also channeled for her sister, who also had the same the same aura. So it seems to run in her family. And she's just truly an earth angel. And it just so happens that because of that, she's so drawn to working with angels. She's an incredible intuitive medium as well. And she's a beautiful Reiki master. And she does in a lot of her, she has a business where she does do Reiki healing, energy healing, and also channeling for clients. And she also took my 12-week program, which 3 years ago it was actually only, I think it was only a 4-week program at the time, to sort of help her get more comfortable with her beautiful gifts. She was doing beautiful Reiki work, but wanted to work on channeling as well. And so I asked her to be on my podcast because she's such an expert and so knowledgeable about how to work with your angels, about how to work with archangels, what all of the archangels can be used for, how to work with them, how to call them in, what to use them for. And I can honestly say that anything I've learned about working with angels and archangels has been from conversations that I've had and experiences I've had with Nadia. And so, who better than to bring on the show than the woman herself, the source itself of who I've gained this knowledge from? And so, this is an episode that we recorded 3 years ago for a different podcast, and it's part of an episode. So the first half of that episode was all about crystals. She's also very knowledgeable about crystals, and some of you did ask about how to use crystals in your spiritual practice. So that might be another episode going forward. But I'm sharing with you the half where we talk about angels and archangels and how to use them and how to call them in. And it's so interesting and so fascinating. And so I'm excited to introduce you to the beautiful Nadia and for you to share with me afterwards what you think. It's definitely it's so interesting what you can do when you use and call in archangels into your life. One other thing before we get started that I do just want to add here, just so that there's clarity, there's actually going to be 3 voices that you hear in this episode. So there's myself, there's the beautiful Nadia, and then there's also my former co-host. Her name is Shannon Acton. And this was who I used to run my former podcast with. She's still a really good friend of mine. We still work together in other capacities. So if you see another beautiful face or you hear another voice asking questions of Nadia, that is beautiful Shannon. And she actually runs a really beautiful business called Bargain Homes Abroad. So you can definitely check that out if you're looking to move to Europe and, find a place to live for a really good price point. Definitely check her out on Instagram as well. But yeah, so she's the one. We used to run a workshop together and what's it called? A membership together for people developing their intuitive abilities that may be returning eventually. But so just so you know, in case you hear a third voice asking questions, that's my beautiful former co-host, Shannon. And so I really hope you enjoy this episode. We really go through all of the different archangels and what you can use them for. And I'm just so excited because Nadia is such an expert in this realm, her being such a beautiful angel herself. So I hope you enjoy it. And here is the beautiful Nadia. So can we talk a little bit more about the angels and the angelic realms? Yes. Because Nadia is like an angel on earth.
I don't know. Depends who you ask. Depends who you ask. No, right. But I definitely do feel very connected and guided to work with the angels and the angelic presence. And one of the things that I love about the angels, because at the end of the day, because sometimes I have people going, yeah, but Nadia, are you you don't want to replace God with angels. And this is true. I feel like angels are God's gift to us, because when us being on the earth plane, Earth is one of the most dense vibrational planets. Like, we are of the lowest frequency probably throughout the galaxy. Okay. So we're on a very, very dense, low vibe planet. You have God that is like pure love, vibrating at a vibration like I can't even explain. Sometimes being on Earth, it can be difficult to connect directly to God, because especially if you're in such a depressed state, anxious state, a low vibrational state, it can be really hard to feel God in your life when you're in that mode. Mm-hmm. The angels kind of act as a buffer, like a messenger between. And I'm not trying to say that you can't connect directly to God, because you always can. But I find that working with the angels, they're just like that added, what's the word I'm trying to say? Like, it's just an added like benefit. A liaison. Yeah. They just like, because they're closer to our earth plane, they can connect more. We can connect more easily with them and their energy. And you can, and by doing so, it's actually, I feel like the angels helped me to strengthen my relationship with God. Wow. By using their energy, right? Yeah. So it's not I pray to the angels, I pray to God, but I do call upon the angels for assistance, because The other thing you guys have to understand when it comes to working with angels is they will not interfere in your life, because we have free will here. So we have to call upon them, and we need to ask them to like interject and help us when we feel that we need it. The only time that they will interfere is, okay, so my belief is, each of us have like our own path that we are here to go through in our human existence in this life, and we have certain goals that we are to obtain from like a soul teaching level lesson. And if for whatever reason we're put in a situation where our physical life is at risk before we have actually completed our soul's purpose, then you'll have the angel interject and to like save your life, literally save. And this is where you kind of hear stories of like, I was in a car crash on the side of the road, and this man came out of nowhere and he pulled me out of the burning car, and I went to thank him after, and he disappeared, right? Like these are like angels that manifest into physical body to help in that moment, to save that person, and then poof, as quick as you see them, as
I just
quick
got
as
full body chills when
yeah.
you said that.
It's amazing, right?
It's amazing.
So I mean, when we talk about angels, we all have our own, each of us has our own assigned angels. You know, I know we're all very familiar with like guardian angels, and people sometimes think like, oh, I only have one guardian angel. Some people have like a literally like a football team of angels or more. Like you can have as many as you want. It's just, again, when you start working with them, you have to kind of ask for their like you're giving them permission. Basically, you have to give them permission to say, I want to work with you, and I'm willing for you to help me with this particular issue. And then you know what, you kind of at that point have to surrender, which is hard to do because as humans we like to control everything about our life. But when you actually are able to surrender in that moment, whatever you are requesting assistance or guidance with, it is actually incredible how they can manifest a solution for you in ways that you would have never thought of yourself.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's very, very powerful. And with the angels, there's different angels that kind of have different jobs.
Okay.
So archangels are one type of an angel.
Okay.
Right. And then, you know, you have the angels that are assigned to you at birth that follow you throughout your life. Right?
So are
like
we kind of angels. Making that like guardian angels kind of akin to spirit guides? Same thing?
Different. So,
okay.
Oh, here we go. Y'all excited talking about this stuff.
Let's learn about this. Woo! Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Spirit. So as an example, you and I, we're physical beings. We're human beings right now. When our time comes that we die from this physical body, we will then transform into spirit and then go back to the other side, however you want to refer to it, heaven, whatever. Okay. Yeah. As in spirit form, we can never change to become an angel. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like it'll be like my grandmother died and she's now my angel who watches over me, which is a nice thing to say, but they cannot, like, the angels are their own entity. You cannot, an angel cannot become a spirit cannot become an angel.
It's like a different realm.
It's totally different realm. Okay. Yeah. And so as I give that examples, my grandmother's become my angel. No, your grandmother becomes a spirit guide. Right. Okay. So my belief is, you know, prior to us coming down to this earth, we choose to be here. We choose the life that we're going to have. We choose, you know, what are the lessons what soul's growth do we want to encounter when we go into this life? What is my purpose? Is my purpose? Oh, I'm getting so excited that my throat's getting dry.
Good. I could listen to you talk all day. I'm just like, tell me more.
No, but is my purpose like, am I here to learn about forgiveness? Mm-hmm. Am I here to learn about resilience? Am I here to learn about whatever, being like spreading kindness? Like what am I here to do? So I feel like we make those soul contracts on the other side, and we connect with other souls on the other side. Well, okay, this is where it's like, okay, I will be your mother. I will be your best friend. I feel like that's kind of all determined on the other side. And then we come here and we play it out. Mm-hmm. And then we have this amnesia of what we chose, right? So I'm like, what the hell did I pick for myself? Like, it's over on the other side, everything is blissful and perfect. It's like, yeah, the harder the life, the more the like, if you think about it, the more the growth, right?
Yeah.
When do you really learn things? When things are super fantastic. Like, I feel like a lot of times when you go through those really difficult times in your life, that's when your heart breaks open, that you have that learning and that growth, and you become a more compassionate human being. But so where was I going with this? Okay, so the spirit guide, you choose a spirit on the other end, on the other side, who will say, I will follow you and I will be your guide for your incarnation on earth. Okay, you choose that one. And then you have like an angel assigned to you, sometimes more than one. And sometimes people have more than one spirit guide. And then sometimes when you lose, and then sometimes when you're losing somebody here, you've gone through your life with them or whatever, they pass away, and then suddenly they become part of your, it's like a team. It's a team. It's not like one person. Like, you have a team of people, I say spirit, that is helping to oversee you and protect you. And then the more that you open yourself up to having that relationship with them and not being afraid of it, and being willing to kind of like explore that, it can be a really incredible experience. Building, right? And then that's where, when you're talking about your intuition, like the gut feeling, like a lot of that is like them telling you like, no, that's not the right thing to do. Or, I don't know, like I give an example. One time I was driving home from work, and I always generally take the same route. And it was just like, all of a sudden the thought was like, no, don't go left on Coleraine, like keep going straight on 50. And I was like, I don't really like going that way, but okay, I'll just go with it. And then I found out there was a huge accident on Coleraine. Where did that come from? It didn't come from me, right? So, and that's just one example. And I'm sure that that's happened to probably everybody at some point, right? When you follow that inner knowing, understanding that that's the piece of you that connects to your divine self, that connects to, your guides and your angels that are trying to be there to help you.
So is there a way to differentiate if you're connecting with your guides versus your angels?
Okay, so what I did, and I guess this could be different for everybody, when I first learned about it, my connection was actually first with my guide. And all I did is I sat very quietly, and my ears buzzing, like it's ringing so much right now. So she's like, what are you talking about me? So I wasn't there, right? Like loud. Okay. So I was like probably about 19 years old. I was going back over 20 years now. Anyway, and I just asked her, like, what's your name? And she told me her name was Athena. So then, okay, so now I have Athena. So then Athena had to deal with a lot of like my 20s trauma. Athena, what the hell is going on here? Like, where, like, you're supposed to be helping me. What is this? This is nonsense. So Athena, and then to be honest, like when I mentioned how I read that book by Doreen Virtue, the Angel Therapy Handbook, that was really where my journey began with my angel. And then I kind of did the same thing. I that's when I worked with the clear quartz crystal, because she kind of talks about what to do with it and how to hold it. And then that's when I connected to my angel, my primary angel that I deal with. Her name is Isis. And this was before ISIS, like the negative connotation of the terrorists, whole thing came out. And it was interesting because when I looked up what the word Isis meant, it was like an Egyptian name, I think, of like the goddess of the working mother. And I was like, oh, it's a perfect name. The goddess of the working mother, which I am.
I love that.
Yeah. So they both, when I call upon them, they have very different energies.
And so what do they kind of help you with? Because I know like spirit guides, they're really always just kind of pushing you back to your path and purpose. They intervene a lot, right? They're constantly kind of being like, go this way, go that way.
Right. So Athena's more bossy.
Oh, okay.
In that respect.
Yeah,
so my guide is more bossy, like, like firm.
Yeah.
And where Isis is more like embracing of like more, she's got more gentleness to her. Let's just say she can be firm too, but she does it with a little bit more loving kindness than Athena.
Yeah. I mean, I know for me that when I'm working with clients and I'm channeling their spirit guides, once in a while an angel will come through. And I always find that like the angels are they're almost like more poetic in the way they speak, and they kind of talk in metaphors, and it's very kind of one-worded, all-knowing, very centered, very godly, I guess. And they're still giving you advice, but they're not like, I find spirit guides can be a little sassy. They're like, do this.
Well, because imagine like they're like us, except they're on the other side. Right. So there's still that piece of like, I guess ego in a sense a little bit too, right? Because they're still evolving, right? Like they're still evolving and they're still learning as well. And and like them even watching over us, that's part of their soul's growth. Like an angel is pure love. Right. It's just pure love. So, and no judgment.
How do you know when to call upon your angel versus your spirit guide?
I call upon everybody.
Oh, okay.
I'm just like, team, let's go. Let's go. I don't know if I necessarily like, you know, I'm open to receiving all the help I can get when I'm just like, whoever. But I mean, I do believe that as an angel, they're able to kind of, they have, how do I want to put this? Like more an opportunity to kind of manifest situations, opportunities, people in your life more so than a spirit guide, right? So a little bit more like the magic.
The spirit guide's more like the GPS.
Yes.
And the angel is sort of like the overall, like
like the magician.
Right? Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's really cool. So you said that, you know, we can have more than one angel, just as we can have more than one spirit guide, but then you're saying that there's like certain angels for certain purposes. Are those archangels?
So so I've worked with the energies of different archangels. Like that's kind of been where I've been guided to connect with. I know that there's all kinds of different realms, and I haven't necessarily connected with all of them. I like working, so obviously with my own angel. I learned Reiki. So Reiki, actually, there's actual angels that their job and responsibility is assisting as Reiki angels, like with the healings and stuff like that when they're doing Reiki energy. So when I'm working with a client to provide either a distance healing or healing in person, I'm always calling upon like not just only, you know, God source energy. I call upon the Reiki angels to assist me in the healing as well. And then I also call upon Archangel Raphael. Archangel Raphael is the archangel of healing on all levels. So whether it's physical healing you're looking for, mental, emotional, spiritual, his presence is very, very beautiful. He's actually affiliated. When I imagine him, I see like jet black hair, and he has emerald green light around him. He works with emerald green light. So anytime you're calling upon Archangel Raphael for help, depending on the area of that person that needs the healing, I kind of always like will intuitively like envision sending like this ball of an emerald green light to that particular area, or encompassing them like a cocoon with his emerald green light for healing. It's very, very powerful. And he's actually an amazing angel to work with for traveling. Like allow me to have smooth travels from, you know, point A to point B, and he helps you find parking spaces. I swear to God, he does. So if you're like going to a busy mall, you know, it's like Christmas, you know, the malls are going to be packed. You're like, okay, Archangel Raphael, I need your help. You got to find me a parking spot.
And there it is.
And there it is. Honest to God, like it's actually really freaky.
So I guess like the way we would classify it is like you have your angels that are assigned to you, but then the archangels is kind of like everyone's angels.
Absolutely. The archangels are everybody's angels. And then like, you know, a lot of people will know about Archangel Michael, and then they'll say, well, yeah, but Nadia, but like if I'm calling upon Archangel Michael and so-and-so's calling upon Archangel Michael, and now they have 1,000 people calling upon, how is he helping all of us at the same time? And they can do that.
They're
like omnipresent. They can be in multiple places with multiple people at multiple times. And that's just the way they work. So it doesn't matter, right? Archangel Michael is amazing for protection. Like anytime you're feeling any form of fear, or you know, you need to stand in your power for particular anything, like conversation or interaction with somebody, or you know, I often will say to Archangel Michael, like before my kids go to school, I'm like, you know, just please, you know, watch over my boys today, just protect them, like make sure that everything goes goes well for them. And you know, it's just like it's that added protection. So
Mhm.
he's like the warrior, like he is the one with like the armor, and he's got like, I see him like with this, like red and gold chested armor, and he's got this big sword, and he's
Mhm.
also used for like cutting cords. And when we talk about like cutting cords, like energy, sometimes if you've worked with somebody, or not even working with somebody, like just somebody in your life that depletes you, you have a conversation with them, like at the end of it you're like, oh my god, I feel like she's just sucked my soul dry, like that was so painful.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually call upon him. And if you almost envision like almost like an umbilical cord idea between you and that person, and you call upon me, like, please just cut it, like it's like a psychic attack is what it is when that happens.
Mhm.
And you see him cutting that cord, it cleanses you, it clears you, and you'll feel better.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
he's
that's
a
really
beautiful.
cool.
So those two are like, they're pretty powerful. They're all powerful, but those are the two probably most well-known archangels, is Raphael and
And Michael. Are there
and
any other
Michael.
ones that you work
Oh,
with?
Can I ask about one in particular? Because when
Yeah.
we were doing a meditation all together, one came through and I had no idea it was an archangel until I looked it up later. So tell me what you know about Metatron. I didn't even know the word existed.
And you heard the word Metatron?
And I came away, and that night, out of my sleep, I was thinking about it, and then just like the word Metatron came into my head. I'm like,
Well, Metatron also works with you know, what do they call them? The geometric
geometry.
sacred geometry.
okay,
That's his
that
thing.
makes sense, because that's kind of what I saw in the meditation,
Yeah.
and had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
And then Metatron came, but that sound, it was like, is that a transformer? Like, what?
I know. It sounds
Such
like
a
that,
weird
right?
name.
No, but
You're like,
I'm gonna read you what I wrote here, because I have like a little spiel about each one. So
Okay.
Metatron means of God. The colors associated with him are violet and green. He is the angel of highly sensitive children. So like, you know, the children like who've been labeled as ADHD, autistic, all this kind of thing. These are children that are actually so psychic and intuitive that this world is not like they don't know how to be here, because
Yeah.
they're just so highly evolved, and they're misrepresented, and people have the wrong impression of them, but they're highly evolved beings. So Archangel Metatron is a beautiful archangel to call upon, especially if you know, or you have a friend, or there's a parent of a child like this. It's a beautiful archangel to call upon for like a protection and working with that child here to help their experience here on earth be as positive as and fulfilling as possible. So one of the prayers here is, dear Archangel Metatron, please watch over my children and guide me as to the best way to help them develop and maintain their spiritual path. He teaches practical application of esoteric wisdom, and he is the one that created. So maybe you want to look into this one, Shannon. He's got Metatron's cube, and you know the flower of life. You know the pattern of the flower of life. I don't know if you've ever meditated and you look up at the sun and you see that pattern in your eyes, like with it's called the flower of life.
Okay.
So he created the flower of life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's an amazing angel.
I'm really curious how that, like, what that means as a sign for you,
I
Shannon.
know, like, why did he come through, and what was that? I don't know.
Do you have a intuition or idea of possibly working with children one day, like with your practice and stuff like that? Is there anything like that?
No. And
Maybe that's gonna come.
I don't know.
Maybe that's gonna come. Who knows?
It's funny because as you were talking about it, I was like, oh, that sounds like me. Like when I was a kid, like I was that like super ADHD, misunderstood kid labeled as so sensitive who can't function.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, maybe it was coming through for you, and that's what I saw, because it was in our group meditation when we were all doing that together, right?
True. Maybe. I mean, or maybe it was kind of for all of us. I mean, we all kind of are these people who have been like walked through life as really misunderstood, seen as really highly sensitive, and the purpose being that we're really like intuitive.
Yeah,
so I wonder if
I'm also thinking along the path of like, maybe, I don't know, Shannon, maybe you're going to be involved in creating some type of space, safe practice or learning for parents of children who have those type of gifts. I'm going to say gifts because unfortunately they're labeled as opposite.
Mhm.
And maybe you'll help to teach parents how to work with their children, because I think that like if you remember, I know with my experience, I started seeing spirit like when I was young. My earliest memory is probably when I was around 8, but I've heard stories as young as like
Oh,
2.
I was like, I used to see them when I
Right?
was 2.
Yeah, I don't remember that, like,
Yeah.
but you know, nobody in my family understood. There was nobody I could talk to about it. There was nobody that could help me learn and learn ways of protecting myself and not to be afraid. It was actually, my teenage years were very scary because it's like an open vessel to not only the good, but also like the creepy and the bad, right?
Mhm.
And I almost wonder if maybe there's an opportunity, if Metatron is coming to you, that, you know, for I think there's a lot of children in similar situations like me that grew up in a family that doesn't know anything about it. What do you do to help them to teach their children how to work with those gifts and
Mhm.
not to fear them?
Yeah.
You know, like I see the difference now with me and my boys. My son, my older son, who's now 11, he really became very, very vocal about, you know, I introduced him to the concept of a guardian angel. And because I had, his name came to me, and I told Anthony, I said, you know, your guardian angel's name is Roman, and he attached to it like this, and would start to share stories with me about astral travel with Roman, and where they went to the universe, and then they went on a boat in the middle of the ocean, and he went to Brazil, and he would tell me things that were like, from a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old child, you're like, how, like, where did this come from? Like, I'm not putting it in his head. And I think, my God, like, what would my experience have been if my mom or my dad had been able to kind of walk me through that, and would my gifts have developed differently? Because now he doesn't have a fear, and he still sees spirit, he still sees angels. And I was like, oh yeah, Mom, yeah, you need to sage, we got a spirit over there. Okay.
I want kids
Right?
like that.
You're gonna have kids like that, don't worry, right? So I think, you know, okay, I've now taken my own personal experience, and I'm now trying to teach my boys, who both are gifted in different ways, how to work with their gifts. It is what it is. It just would have been nice if I had that same.
Yeah. I remember it used to scare me. I mean, like I always tell people that, like, yes, I discovered my intuitive gifts much later as an adult, but then, you know, when you look back and you're kind of like, oh my God, I had all these crazy experiences and I just chalked it up to my imagination, right? Or just that I was crazy or that I made it up. And I was like, I used to have things sit in my crib. I mean, like, and I remember being terrified and like going to sleep in my parents' bed because they would be at the end of my bed or in my crib. And, you know, and now that I like recognize and work with my spirit guides all the time, and I know what they look like, I was like, oh, that was you sitting at the end of my bed every night. Yeah. So it's really crazy. So, I mean, like, how nice would the world be if, like, these kids who do it so naturally, so intuitively, were continued and encouraged to continue to walk through life with that? Because I can almost pinpoint the time when all of those experiences went away. I was about 12 or 13 because, you know, socialization kicks in and peer pressure. So it's
you don't talk about stuff like that because then you're looked at like a weird duck.
Yeah, you're like crazy.
You're like, what? This is wacko.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I think the world has evolved, and this is a topic now that more people are interested in, and you know, like, you're not like, oh yeah, she says she's a psychic, and it's not like with this stigma. Like now, she's a medium. Now people are interested. Like, you're a medium? Ooh, I want to learn more about that. Tell me more. Do you have 5 minutes? Come sit with me, right? Yeah. But you know, you go back 30 years ago, it was like, you know, it's like the work of the devil, right? So it has evolved, but I feel like, you know, and I don't know, Shannon, like with what's going on in this world right now with this whole whatever pandemic you want to call it that, I think, and what the children are enduring, like, I think they're going to change this world, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of need for helping these children to heal, because them too, they have been so psychologically tormented and impacted in a negative way by subliminal and in your face messages about stuff, right? So it's interesting that you saw Metatron. That's very interesting.
Never even heard of that.
He is needed now more than ever, so keep calling upon him. Watch over the kids.
Maybe he's meant to come to my husband. He's a teacher.
So. Then maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what it is, because it's definitely not for me. I have no call to work with children. I love children. Maybe unless I have grandkids in the next couple of years. But yeah,
I was thinking, I was like, maybe when your daughter starts having kids.
Right, maybe.
Wow.
I keep
I
feeling
have a feeling
I don't know. I keep feeling like something's gonna. She says no, but then there's gonna be something that's gonna come up down the line. I don't know.
Just
Anyways,
you wait, Shannon.
we'll see. And then you'll be like,
open a little school in Europe or something, right?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, well, I have a question about an archangel. I have two that I hear about a lot. There's one that I kept hearing the name the other day while I went for a hike. I was up at the cottage and I went kind of just almost at the end of sunset. It was kind of stupid because I was by myself. And then as I was walking back, it was like totally pitch black. And I was like, oh my God. And all of a sudden I heard Uriel.
yeah.
And I was like, okay. I was like, I know you're an archangel because I know usually it ends in EL of some kind. What's that one for?
Okay. So look at this. Uriel means the light of God.
Aww.
That's what his name means.
It's light.
He's right? You were in the darkness.
Yeah.
The light of God come to you.
Aww.
And he's affiliated with a beautiful bright yellow glow light.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's actually the intellectual archangel. So he's a great angel to call upon for anything that requires, like, you're studying for something, you're trying to learn a new something, like for focus, to help with like direction and staying on task, to be focused, to complete.
Well, maybe that was helpful because I was also a little lost.
So maybe
it was helping me find my way back home.
For sure, right? Yeah. So
Okay.
so it says here, he illuminates our minds with information, ideas, epiphanies, and insights.
Interesting.
And he is known as the angel of wisdom.
Oh, very cool. I love that.
Yeah. So you got the angel of light, the angel of wisdom. Okay, I'll get you through the forest.
Yeah, let's navigate your way home.
Clearly made it. So
I made it home. I was getting really scared. So I was like, I'm in the middle of the forest and like it's night and like by myself. But yeah, guys, don't do that. Go before the sun starts setting. Yeah. And then what about Gabriel?
Okay, so Gabriel is interestingly enough, you think the name Gabriel is like a male. Gabriel is actually a female energy.
Oh,
Archangel Gabriel's female, and she's the archangel of communication and expressing yourself. So if you are a person that is afraid to speak your truth, or you have to have a difficult conversation with somebody, or you want to you want to like learn, you want to be better at poetry or your writing skills or whatever, like Gabriel is the one to call upon to help you with clear communication.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
Her name means the strength of God. She's affiliated with the copper color. She's also very much about children as well. She loves children in terms of like really trying to offer that like motherly nurturing feeling to the children for protection. But she's very big on communication.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that like a lot of people name their boys Gabriel though.
Yeah.
It's like, and if it's a girl, I guess it's like Gabriella.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know. What
about if there's I'm wondering if that's just because I grew up, in the Jewish tradition. So we actually called him Gavriel. Is that
because because like us in the Catholic, Gabriel, I know you probably, when did he show up it's in the Torah, right?
It's actually just like a song that they sing. And so they say like they say like God, my God, like, and they say like, there's an archangel to my right, my left, behind me, in front of me, and then God's above me. It's like a song that we sing. And I think they say like Michael's to the right.
There's I don't remember, but
Gabriel's to the left, and then they say Uriel's in front of you, and then behind you is Raphael, and then they say, and then above you is God or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but with the way they pronounced it was Gabriel, and I was like, oh, is it two different archangels? But maybe it's just different pronunciation.
Because in the Catholic Bible, Archangel Gabriel was the one that came to announce the coming of Christ, to telling Mary, Mother Mary, that she was going to be carrying Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I guess that makes sense if she's communicating.
Yeah. There you go. You're having a difficult conversation or something, or even like if you have like a really bad blocked throat chakra. So this is all about like not speaking your truth, holding in your thoughts. Not a lot of women. This is one of our hearts and our throats are like strangulation, right?
Right.
You want to call in Angel Gabriel, for our throat chakra, what's a good crystal to go along with?
Anything blue. I brought you some.
Okay.
Blue. So this throat chakra is actually affiliated with like a light blue, like a sky blue color. So anything blue. I have a few here. I don't have the one. There's a beautiful stone called blue lace agate. I don't have it in front of me right now. It's a beautiful stone. It's like it looks like the sea, and it's got like these swirls of white in it. That's a great stone to use. This is sodalite. Sodalite can also be used, and this is lapis lazuli. So lapis is like a little bit more darker blue with gray.
Looks like ocean.
Yeah, and then sodalite is almost like an what is that? Like an indigo blue, and then mixed with white. And then I have another one here. This is kyanite. So you can also use these stones not just on the throat, but these are also third eye chakra stones. These ones here are very much about for spirituality and becoming more intuitive and connecting to source energy. But definitely any type of blue stone that you place on your throat helps to clear it. But I would almost say like calling upon Archangel Gabriel to come and like remove the blockages, right?
Okay.
And then it's interesting when you start to even look at like the physical manifestation of different diseases and stuff, right? What, like, you know, as an example for women, breast cancer, right? Often ends up being the fallout of a very, very blocked and clogged and unhealed heart chakra. Heart attack, heart issues, like, you know what I mean? Or anything to do with your throat, like it's if you don't speak your truth, sometimes things manifest as like laryngitis or, you know, thyroid issues, you know, things can change from the emotional, what's it called? What I'm trying to say here, like the emotional imbalance will eventually come out physically if we don't take care of it.
Right, because our cells take on that energy.
Yeah.
So I guess like if you're like, how do these kind of work together? So it's sort of like you have the crystal that relates to the archangel, you hold the crystal and then call the angel in. Is that sort of how you do it? Is there like a ceremony to it?
There's nothing written in stone about what you so how you should do it. I mean, it's whatever feels, honestly, it's whatever feels, because my practice may not be what feels right for you, right? So it's just, I think it's just being willing and open to saying, you know, I'm ready to kind of explore this, and I want to at least try to foster. And they're all excited. They're like, oh, finally, we waited how many years, and now they're ready. You know, so it's like, okay, I think it's you setting that intention. You're making that time to just be still and be quiet within yourself, and just trust that they'll come through, and they'll let you know that you'll feel it. Like you'll just know that they're there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. And so like there's no like ceremony to it where you're like, I have to hold this crystal, call them in.
No, I mean, I feel like for me, I feel like the crystals are like little tools that just kind of get me connecting to them more quickly, but you don't need a crystal to connect to your guide or to your angel.
Right.
You don't need it. It's an additional, like, it's like an amplifier, you know, let's get it done a little bit faster, right? But it's not that you necessarily need to have it.
Right. Yeah. So beautiful. I have another question, which is probably a little crazy, but this is the podcast for it. So you know our beautiful mentor, Kathy, who has also been on the podcast or will be very soon.
Yes.
And I always say, like, whenever you kind of hand her a crystal, especially like kind of a quartzy type crystal, she'll look at it and go, there's an angel in this.
Yeah.
What does she mean by that?
So, okay, so there's something called like crystal gazing.
Okay.
Right? And some people have the ability to do it. I have done it with, I have a big, like this is a selenite crystal ball. I have a big one like this. And I've done it in the past where I've just kind of looked at it and I've gazed in, and you know, and you kind of let your eyes go like funny in a sense, like you're just kind of going blurry, and you look, and sometimes within the crystal, you'll actually have visions. You'll see something in the crystal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So like
sometimes it can be angelic. You can see angels. I've seen Mother Mary in my crystal ball in the past. Sometimes you actually can see like cities and like Atlantis, like I don't know.
So literally like gazing into a crystal ball, like the gypsies.
And sometimes, and sometimes the crystal will allow you a vision. So you'll see it like this one here. It depends, like when you're iridescent, like how you can stare at it. Sometimes things morph, but the ones where it's a little bit easier to do that gazing is with like the quartz family of crystals, because they're clear, like you can see into it.
Yeah.
And then there's like little occlusions and
will the vision be different every time you gaze into it?
Possibly.
Okay.
Probably.
So it's not like an angel's frozen inside.
No.
That's what I thought. Well, like, there's an angel in here.
Or no, or it could just have like this one here. I was kind of connected to it because I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of like a little fairy in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw a little fairy, or here was like angel wings.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that the angel's stuck in the stone.
It's like the energy.
I think the energy is angelic,
right,
or fairy-like, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice to know, because it's like, what is she talking about? Are we freezing fairies and crystals?
No.
Yeah.
But they do infuse their energy in it for sure.
That's actually really interesting to me, because I guess like I always just thought that was kind of the commercialization of psychic work.
Yeah.
Of like people saying, oh, like they're trying to make a joke out of it, and they're like, oh, gazing into the crystal ball. But I didn't actually know that was a practice.
No, it takes well, you just said the right word. It's a practice. Like it takes time and energy to do, and it doesn't happen. Like, I don't know. I'm only speaking from personal experience. It's not like every time I gaze at it, I see something. Mm-hmm. For the most part, I don't.
Right.
But when I have, it's been pretty wild. It's like, whoa, look at this, right? Cool. And you just kind of gotta like get into a very kind of meditative, quiet space where you're just kind of like staring blankly at it and let your gaze just soften, and don't move your gaze. And
has it been like a message for you specifically, or it's just kind of like it just tells you some sort of truth?
I feel like it tells me some sort of truth, or lets me know, like, I'm here with you. Like, they show themselves to me. Kind of thing.
That's really beautiful. Yeah. I mean, and I'm fully of the belief that crystals come to you because I mean, for me, like I said, I've never been called to work with crystals before until this one kept showing up in my meditation. I was like, I need to go and get this crystal. Like, I don't know. And I went to the only store I knew that sold them, and like right on the front table, the second you walked in, there it was, the one I'd been seeing in my meditation. I was like, this one was coming to me.
Yeah,
it was calling me, and now I use it, and I felt like I needed it when I was working with clients, and now I don't do client sessions without it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it amplifies everything.
Oh, it does. They definitely do. Again, you can still do your healings and you could still channel without.
Yeah.
But I feel like it just brings it on stronger, makes it more clear when you have it with you. But yeah, so welcome to your new fetish of like, now
I know. Nadia is taking me to a crystal shop today, and we're gonna go crazy.
Crystal shopping.
Oh my goodness.
It's very exciting.
Okay, well, thank you, Nadia, so much for coming to our to the Guided Path podcast. We've had so much fun. Is there anything else that you would like to share that we didn't get a chance to ask you, or that you would just like to share with our listeners?
There's really there's nothing specific, but I guess I just want to say that, like, from my own personal experience, working with crystals and learning their healing abilities has been truly life-changing for me. Working with the angels and my spirit guides, and just allowing myself to not be afraid and open to hearing them, to developing that relationship with them. They have carried me through many storms in my life, and they are the reason I still stand, so I just think they bring you back to that knowing of who you really are. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful relationship. So I would encourage everybody to just really and it doesn't take much. All it takes is just finding a place that feels safe, where you can, have some time where you're uninterrupted, where it's peaceful, however that is, whether it's out in nature, whether it's you play some soft music, maybe it's in silence, whatever it is, just being open to to them coming to you, and just ask, I'm here. I would like to, I want to know you better. What's your name? And don't doubt it. see what the first thing you hear is, you know, and don't be like, oh, I just made that up in my head. Like, trust it.
Yeah.
Just trust it. Trust your intuition. Like we're all amazingly powerful beings, you know, and when we remember who we are, it's truly a miracle and it's a gift, you know, so
life-changing.
It
Beautiful.
is. So thank you, ladies. This was so much fun. I really enjoyed myself, and I appreciate you guys having me on your podcast.
Yeah,
it's very exciting. Thank you.